So, do you think it is more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of additional barriers that women have to face, a lot of stigmas against their ability to perform in the workplace, and their ability to have loyalty to a workplace. For example, their priority might not be their job, it might be their family, whereas I don't think men really have to go through that as much. It's assumed that their priority is going to be their career or to support their family. I think a lot of it too is personality based. I think a lot of people think that women are docile and not as aggressive, and they don't have the skills needed to succeed in business.
What can women do to fix it?
Team together. I think that's probably the biggest thing, is work together and keep trying to break that glass ceiling, keep trying to push each other and be a support system for each other, and correct people when they say the stereotypes or act on the stereotypes of women not being successful.
And do you believe the glass ceiling is still a big issue?
I really do, absolutely.
Is there any advice you'd give a woman entering into business or the workplace in general?
Absolutely. Use your support system and never give up. And stay true to yourself.
And do you think that social media has affected the stigma of women like in a good way?
I think that there's definitely been some advantages to having that social media presence of women in business, and also just finding other ways to expand your community. If you're on social media, you can be a part of groups that are women in business, and you could meet other women that are doing what you were doing, and that's that support system I was talking about earlier that's so important to have.
Are there any examples of being discriminated against or mistreated as a woman that you talk about?
When I was in the military, it was even worse. It was a constant, you couldn't escape any of those stigmas, and it was really difficult trying to be my own person and not fall into one of those categories. I do believe that women should be in the military. I think that they need to readdress the culture that they're encouraging in a serious way, and not a let's make a joke out of it kind of way.
And do you think men and women will ever be like truly equal in the eyes of like society and stuff?
That's what I think that we're working towards. I think equal isn't the goal. I think equity is the goal when it comes to minorities, and I think the best way to do that is to take into consideration that I can use my power and my privilege to help other women. And for example, as a cisgendered white female, to lift up other people who are in other minority communities and use my power and privilege to help them. And that's the only way that we're going to succeed. I do think that we can continue to work towards this goal, and it's going to take a long time, but I refuse to give up.
Do you think it is more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man?
Yes, I do.
What are some problems women in business face that men don't?
Especially, I feel like living in the South, you have a lot of that old-fashioned attitude that women should stay at home and, cook dinner and have babies and mop floors and stuff like that, and, versus, going into the workforce. And so, women just in general sometimes don't believe that they can do it, which is, half the battle right there.
Do you think that business will always be a man's world?
No, not always. I think that, especially this year, it's been really eye-opening because a lot of issues have been brought to the forefront. And I think that, it's not going to happen overnight, but, we're making progress.
So do you believe that gender roles still exist?
Yes, I think that those absolutely do still exist.
Do you think
of course
they should?
not. Oh, no, I don't think they should at all. I think people should do whatever they feel like doing.
What do you think women can do to fix the separation?
I think that supporting each other, helping each other, standing up for each other, because sometimes you need a little help, especially when it comes to, being bullied or discriminated against, or, especially when it comes to things like sexual harassment. But we also need, it's not just up to women. We need to have men as our allies. If we don't have men as our allies, we won't ever get there. We'll always be divided. Oh, a way to do that?
Yeah.
Really, it's just about education, really just talking to them and making them understand how it is to be a woman and to, be in these circumstances, and, making them understand. And a lot of that has to do with just, one person at a time, one story at a time. Like I said, that definitely won't happen overnight, but, there are a lot of good feminist men out there who, have really helped us. We just need more.
I mean, do you think that it's changed the stigma towards women, like, being in the workforce at all? Like,
I think so.
That the words, like, being spread and stuff?
I think so, absolutely, because you have a platform for, it's a place for us to have a voice, for us to share our stories and get them out there.
Do you think that social media is a better platform than, like, a bunch of women getting in a group, like, in public? Or is it just an easier?
I think it's easier, and I think too it's safer, because a lot of times, when you get in front of someone, you kind of can hold back. But when you're not face to face with someone, you can be braver. You can say what you really want to say.
Have you ever doubted yourself because you're a woman?
Okay, yes.
Do you have any advice you'd give a woman entering into the workforce of a business?
Keep your chin up, just be true to yourself. Don't let, be strong. Don't let anybody take advantage of you. Keep your friends close. Have a good support group, and don't take any crap.
Do you think younger generations are more accepting of women in business?
Yes, I do.
Do you think women and men have the same expectations?
Do the same thing? I absolutely think in some cases that women are expected to prove themselves more than a man does.
When someone says a business person, how would you describe what that looks like to you?
A business person?
Mm-hmm. Like, what picture do you see? Or
what picture?
How would you, yeah.
Really, honestly, that picture can look like anything. It can, physically it can look like anything, as far as, professional and capable, smart, strong. But that person can be anybody. There is no certain picture of that.
When you picture a business person, what do you see? Anybody.
I would say someone who's, decisive.
Do you think it is more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man? And what are some problems that women face?
Maybe not being taken as seriously as a male.
Is there anything that women can do to fix it?
I'm sure there are organizations that loan directly to women.
Do you think women should be in business, or do you think they should stay in jobs like teaching, nursing, or staying home?
I think women should be in any field that they decide that they want to be.
And have you ever doubted yourself because you're a woman?
I guess I would say occasionally when in the company of a lot of men.
And do you have any advice for women?
Just believe in yourself and go for your dreams.
Picture a business person, what do you see?
Probably see a man in a three-piece suit, something like that.
Do you think it's more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man?
I don't think so much today as it used to be. No, I think if they've got the wherewithal to do it, they can do it, yeah.
Do Do you think that social media has any impact on the stigma towards women in the workplace lately?
I don't see that.
Do you have any advice for any women either going into the workplace or just women in general?
Have a plan. Do your research. You gotta sell yourself. I mean, not literally.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Sell your vision.
Yeah.
Is what I should say. Women need to dress seriously too, though. I think some of them do play on their sex appeal.
Ask if you thought that maybe that's an advantage to women.
Yeah, but then they gotta be careful because if they're gonna play on that, then they're gonna be men. They're gonna, act on it. So I think they need to dress appropriately and not rely on their gender.
Do you think it is more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man?
I hate to say it, but probably. But the gap's closing.
Do you think the glass ceiling is still a problem?
Yes.
Yes. Is there anything women can do to fix it?
I think they're on the right track. Continue being independent and assertive. They do not need to concede to men. Follow their heart.
Do you think that younger generations are more accepting of women in the workplace?
Absolutely.
Do you think social media has done anything to help the stigma towards women, or do you think it's hurt it?
I think social media is affecting everybody in a positive and negative way. I think the negatives are creating anxiety and unnecessary comparisons with other people. Stay educated. Don't get off social media. Stay observant.
Do you think it is more difficult for a woman to succeed in business than a man?
I think there can be obstacles in the way, but I do feel like the environment is definitely changing over time.
Do you think there's anything that women can do to fix it?
I think so, as we have more and more women going into top leadership roles that are the CEOs of companies, that will continue to help that cause. There's a great book called Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. It gives insight onto the number of women that are in those CEO positions. It gives a lot of data. So we actually have a program called WOW. And so as professional veteran women, meaning experienced women, I think it's important for us to help mentor and guide and encourage and coach young professional women to how to handle obstacles that they might have or perceive in the workplace, and how do we then have more CEOs in the future that are women.
Do you feel that social media is changing any stigma towards women?
I personally think, I'm probably not the one to ask a whole lot about social media.
Have you ever doubted yourself because you're a woman,
Oh, absolutely.
or? Yeah.
And you doubt yourself for lots of reasons, and I think some of it is because we as women have that much more passionate side and caring and nurturing side. So I think it makes